Around Theopolis, we have adopted the habit of thinking about the Bible organized into basically 4 different sections, and have use the device of the 4 faces of the cherubim as a way of thinking about those 4 different sections. Cherubim have a face of an ox, a face of a lion, a face of an eagle, and a face of a man. And that, I think, is we suggest is the order of the development of Scripture. Each of those faces is associated with a particular office, a particular kind of person in the Bible, and a particular section of the Bible. So the face of the ox is associated with the sacrificial system. It's associated with the priesthood. The priestly offering, when a priest was offering a purification offering, he would offer a bull. The bull is the highest, largest animal that's offered in the sacrificial system. Other people would offer goats and sheep, but a priest offers a bull. The ox represents the priesthood, and the Mosaic era is the priestly covenant. You can just think about this as what is the focus of attention in the Pentateuch? What is given the most space? A whole book in Leviticus on sacrifices and rules of purity and rules about the priesthood. Half of the book of Exodus is a description of the tabernacle and the various furnishings of the tabernacle. A chunk of the book of Numbers is about the Levites, the ordaining of the Levites and the Levites' ministry alongside the priests at the tabernacle. And if you think about the order of things in Israel in the Mosaic era, by the Mosaic era I mean from the time of the Exodus in Sinai through the wilderness into the settlement in the land, still under these provisions of the Mosaic covenant through the time of the judges. The most prominent figure, the figurehead of Israel, is the high priest. There's no permanent political figure you can point to as the head of Israel. There is only the high priest as the kind of embodiment of the people. At the beginning of the book of Samuel, that system is breaking down. As bad as everything was during the book of Judges, the Shiloh tabernacle remained intact. We don't hear about it in the book of Judges, but we know it was there because it was there before in the book of Joshua. It's there again in the book of Samuel. But it's attacked by the Philistines. It's dismantled. The ark is captured. The ark is never replaced into the tabernacle, and the old tabernacle system never gets back to the way it had been before. And you have about a 100-year transition period before you have the rise of the Davidic kingdom. So you have a priestly covenant, turmoil, and then a rise of a new order of things, which is the age of the lion. The ox represents the priesthood. The lion represents kings. David is the lion of the tribe of Judah. The lion is the king of the beasts. It seems to be implied by the Bible, not just in our fairy tales and just those stories. The lion is the chief of the animals, and David is a lion. The Davidic kings are supposed to be lion-like in their rule over Israel. Israel's hosts are supposed to be like lions. And so after this period of turmoil, we have the rise of a new era, which is the era of the lion, the era of kings. And that's what we'll be looking at in this weekend. That involves a number of new innovations in Israel's life. Not only do you now have a political leader as the head of Israel instead of the high priest. The high priest is still there, but the high priests become kind of secondary figures to the kings. You have that shift. You also have a change in the sanctuary. The Mosaic tabernacle is dismantled and never restored, and you don't have a tabernacle built at all again. Instead, you have a new sanctuary, a temple, which, as we'll see, is different in some important respects from the tabernacle, even though there's continuity between them. There's a new sanctuary. So there's a new political order, there's a new sanctuary, and there's also a new and more expanded witness to the Gentiles. Just think of all the ways that Solomon interacts with Gentiles. Kings and wise men come from all over the ancient world to Solomon's court to learn the wisdom that he has to offer. We have this scene with the Queen of Sheba bringing her entourage and visiting Solomon's wisdom spreads out through the ancient world, a sapiential form of evangelism. Sapientia is the Latin word for wisdom. Solomon is carrying on sapiential evangelism to the Gentiles. So all this is happening through the monarchy, and you have a new stage of Israel's history. That's the age of the lion. In the midst of that, as we'll see, in the midst of that, see how long it goes before my voice just starts cracking completely. In the midst of the age of the lion, we have the beginnings of the next age, which is the age of prophets. We move from priests to kings. We're going to move into prophets. And if you just look at the canon of the Old Testament, you can see that this movement is taking place. Priests are the main characters in the Pentateuch. Kings are the main characters through all the history books. And then you've got this chunk at the end of the Old Testament, that's all prophetic books. Prophets begin to appear during the time of the monarchy. Elijah and Elisha are the founders, as it were. There are a few prophets prior to that, but Elijah and Elisha are founders of a prophetic movement. And so while you have the monarchy going on, you already have below the surface, you have the percolating of a new era. And when the monarchy falls, the temple is destroyed, the city of Jerusalem is in ruins, the people are in exile, the Davidic kingdom has been interrupted, then the prophets become the spokesmen and the leaders and the most prominent figures in Israel's life. So you move from priest to king to prophet through the course of the Old Testament. You move from ox to lion to eagle. Eagle is associated with prophetic ministry. And you have, again, all kinds of shifts that go along with that as you move into the age of the prophets. Israel is scattered. At the beginning of the age of the prophets, as it were, when the monarchy ends, Israel is scattered among the Gentiles. That's a judgment, but it's also a blessing because now you've got Jews everywhere, Jews in Babylon, who can speak to not, Daniel doesn't talk to kings of Judah the way Jeremiah does. Daniel talks to Babylonian and Persian emperors. That's an elevation of Jewish witness to the Gentiles. You have not only Jews that are scattered off to Assyria and Babylon. Some Jews go back to Egypt, Jeremiah among them. We know that other Jews scatter elsewhere. By the time you get to the New Testament, there are Jews all over the Eastern Mediterranean and probably further. We don't see that, but they're scattered everywhere. Paul goes to Rome and there are Jews there. He goes to Athens, there's a synagogue there. That's because of the diaspora, the exile, which is like the scattering of seed. Israel's like a scattered seed at the time of the exile. It's a judgment, but it's a judgment that's like the judgment on the Levites. You might remember the book of Genesis. Levi and Simeon joined together in attacking the city of Shechem. And Jacob curses them, and because of their sin with Shechem, they're scattered among the tribes. And Levi doesn't have a tribal territory. But that's ultimately a blessing for Israel because you've got Levites everywhere. They're not just concentrated in one small spot, but you've got Levites in towns that are scattered all over the land, their own towns, and you have Levites that are living in other towns, precisely because they don't have their own tribal territory. And Israel goes through the same kind of process in the exile. So, and then of course the New Covenant comes, and the New Covenant comes with Jesus, who is the true priest, the true king, the true prophet, and the God-man, the Son of Man. So priest, king, prophet, man. Priest, king, prophet, Jesus, ox, lion, eagle, man. Ox, lion, eagle, man. Okay? Get your kids doing that. They love it.